welcome back, welcome back. The first thing I want to do before I start programming any of the components is just to make sure everything is working. I need to program or tell the Raspberry Pi Pico that I want you to use MicroPython. So how do we do this? First things first, plug your USB cable into the Raspberry Pi Pico, so the micro USB section. Before you plug it into your desktop, laptop, computer, whatever it is you have, you're going to press and hold down the button on the Raspberry Pi Pico. Press and hold it down, keep it held down, and while it's being held down, you plug the cable into the computer's USB port. So I'm going to plug mine in now. You should hear the Windows USB connected sound. There we go. It says Raspberry Pi connected down here. So now what I have to do is to go into that Raspberry Pi like a memory stick and copy a file to it. So let's open that file first. For some of you guys, it will pop up here. I'm using Windows 11. You should be able to click on it and you should have the option that says open files, open folder, excuse me, to view files. Comes up like this. There's nothing in there that you need to worry about now, but I'm going to show you another way to get to it. Simply go to this PC on your computer, and on there you should see your Windows local disk, and you should also see RPI, which is Raspberry Pi. You're going to double click in there, and this is where we need to put our file that we're going to download. Now to download this file, you simply Google the word or the term or the phrase Pico W UF2. That's all you need to type in. So again, let me type it in here. Pico W UF2. And what that's going to do is going to give you access to the MicroPython file that works for the Raspberry Pi Pico W. Now there's also one for the Pi Pico, the one that does not have Wi-Fi, but we need the Wi-Fi version. So simply click on the first link that comes up there, Pi Pico W MicroPython, Python for microcontrollers. Click on that. It's going to come up with this here. Simply scroll down. Now it says releases. It says nightly builds. I would not go for a nightly build simply because they're not normally as stable, right? So I'm just going to go for releases, and I'm going to click on where it says 1.20.0. Click on that. It's going to send this thing to my downloads, and in my downloads folder, I should now see that file. When I go to my downloads folder, this is what I'll see. I'll see Raspberry Pi Pico W UF2 file. All I need to do, again, the only thing I need to do is to copy that file. Let's put this to one side and put that to one side. All I need to do is to copy that file I just downloaded onto my Raspberry Pi. Couple ways that we can do this. We can right click. We can go to copy. Again, I'm using Windows 11, so it doesn't show all the same options. I can click on copy, and I can click on the right hand side here, right click, and I can go to paste. That's one way. The other way is simply by using the shortcut. Click on it once, press and hold Control on your keyboard, tap the C key, that's C for copy. That copies the file, so Control C to copy. Click on the right hand side over here and simply do Control again and V for Victor to paste. That's going to copy this file across, and once it finishes, it should automatically close the section on the right hand side, and then the Raspberry Pi Pico is ready to be programmed. There we go, that's finished. After we've programmed it now we need to actually test if everything works fine. The IDE that I'm going to be using, IDE means Integrated Development Environment. It's simply a program that allows me to easily interact with the Raspberry Pi Pico. It's called Thonny. I'm going to go down to my thing here, my taskbar. Mine's on my taskbar, but if yours isn't, if you've installed Thonny, simply press start on your keyboard, and then you simply type THONNY. It should come up as one of the first options. I'm going to click on where it says Thonny. Should open up that program. If this doesn't work for you the first time, you might have to reload, as in plug your Raspberry Pi out and plug it back in, because we've just programmed it. At the very bottom right hand corner of Thonny, you're going to see something that says Local Python 3 Thonny Python. I'm going to click on that, and on the list, as you can see, the list just popped up. It said MicroPython Raspberry Pi Pico or MicroPython RP2040. These are exactly the same devices. It doesn't matter which one you click on, it's going to work just the same. Personally, I like to click on the Raspberry Pi Pico, the first option, so that when I'm saving my files, it actually says, do you want to save to this PC or do you want to save to Raspberry Pi Pico? If you do the other option, it's going to ask you, do you want to save to this PC or do you want to save to RP2040? I prefer the first one. Click on that. It should reload, And that's it. The Raspberry Pi is ready to be programmed. But the way I would test this is simply type the word print brackets, and I would do inside of that, let's do King Boss. Leave it there, and I'm done. All I have to do now is press run, and down here it prints. Perfect. King Boss, that works perfectly fine. So we know Python works. We know MicroPython works on the Raspberry Pi Pico. So now we can start programming the stuff that we want. To be able to view this section over here, let's minimize this. Don't want to show what I have on this PC. That's fine. To show this section over here, you go to View and you go to Files. So I've hidden that section now for me. So if you load Thonny for the first time and you don't see that section on the left hand side, you want to go to View, you want to go to Files, and that shows what's on the Raspberry Pi and on your PC as well. So for example, I just wrote this wonderful, amazing program here. For me to be able to save this, I simply go to File and I go to Save. That's one way I can do it. And it tells you the shortcut next to it as well. Control and S does exactly the same thing. Or I can click on that diskette thing to save it. Now, most of you guys won't know what a diskette is because you're too young, but this is what we used to save files onto. This was a massive thing, and it only had 3.4 or 3.5 megabytes of storage, I believe. Again, simply click on it, and this is why I chose that option earlier that says Raspberry Pi Pico W, because it comes up with these options: save to this computer or save the Raspberry Pi Pico. I'm going to choose save to Raspberry Pi Pico. Again, I'm trying to save this program. So let me start the process again. I'm trying to save this. Go to File, go to Save, or do Control S. This dialog box comes up, and all I want to do is choose Raspberry Pi Pico. It's going to ask you the name of the file you want to save it as. Now, I am very specific when I come to things because this is the first one I've ever written for this Raspberry Pi. I'm going to name it 01 dash or underscore test Python. That's it. And normally you have an underscore here or a dash, but again, it doesn't matter. This is how I'm going to save all my files so I can know which one I did first, second, third, fourth, and just have a bunch of files over there. When I click OK, it's going to ask, do you mean to save it as 01testpython.py? You should always put the .py at the end of a Python file so it tells the computer this is actually a Python file. It's the same as if you were using a Word document and you tried to save it and you did not put docx or doc behind it. It's not going to know that it's a Word document. Same thing. I'm going to choose yes. The good thing about Thonny is that it always asks you if you want to save the file as a .py if you have not put it in. Click yes, it's saved, and let me drag this all the way up. Down here, these are the files that should be on my Raspberry Pi. The first one here is 01 test Python. Perfect, it's saved. Okay, let's close this and do another one. So to open a new thing, you go to File, you go to New, and I can do print King Boss is amazing times 10, right? All it's going to do is print King Boss is amazing times 10. It's not going to print it 10 times. So now I'm going to run this program as well. Now keep an eye down here. That should update. Click play or press F5 on your keyboard. There we go. King Boss is amazing times 10. Now I want to save this file as well. I'm going to do Control S to save. Comes up with this computer or Raspberry Pi Pico. Click Raspberry Pi Pico. I'm going to call this one 02 underscore test underscore Python underscore again. Now you don't have to do all of this. You can name it whatever you want. This time I'm going to put .py. Now it should not ask if I want to save this as a py file because I've already specified I do. Click OK. File saved. I've got 2 files on my Raspberry Pi Pico. That's it. So this was just to show you how to connect the Raspberry Pi for the very first time, how to tell it that you want to use MicroPython. That's what I'm going to be showing here. You can also use C/C++, and you can use a different version of Python called Circuit Python, which is much faster than MicroPython, but still not as fast as C. So hopefully that was useful, and the next video is going to be me showing you how to make the LED work, then how to make the buzzer work, then how to make the motion sensor work, and then we'll bring everything together and finally send an email or maybe send a text message. So thanks for watching. Good luck.